being an entrepreneur, you don't even need to study if we go by that definition. Forget about doing an MBA or an engineer. Because if you say, for example, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, he's a college dropout for all we know. The biggest of the entrepreneurs of this country have not gained formal education, so as to speak, due to the lack of resources or maybe due to a lack of interest. I mean, forget about the biggest entrepreneurs. If I were to give an example in today's setting, for example, Nikhil Kamath, who is one of the co-founders of Zerodha, he does not have a degree, so as to speak, but he's running a multi-million-dollar business. So I feel for being an entrepreneur is something that needs to really come from the.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the GB Show. In our previous episode, you have heard Anant Agrawal talking about the service delivery excellence, entrepreneur scene in India, and product engineering based organizations. Today, I have Ashwin Agrawal, another director from Skillmine Technologies, talking about the vision of the organization and how that organization is delivering service delivery excellence and moving towards the product engineering with the products like risk management, IDAM, and also the data visualization. We will also learn from Ashwin that as a young entrepreneur, what kind of challenges he had faced and how he has overcome that in the duration or the 4 years of experience which he has. By the way, he is going to be the youngest ever guest at the GB Show. Let's hear him out. Hi Ashwin, welcome to the GB Show.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you.
So, I think you have been the youngest one on my show. What
Really?
25?
Will be 26.
Okay, awesome. I think the last I had the founder of Zoron, he's 27, but so good. Welcome on board, and thanks for giving your time and coming on board. So maybe I will also learn something new from you today, and I call it reverse mentoring, right? Because after a point of time, right, you know, what happens is when you are doing a lot of things, then you are busy in your day-to-day work and you are not adopting the new technologies or something. I like to set an example here, like my daughter now, she is playing a lot of games in metaverse. Okay. She is on Snapchat doing a lot of things and making streaks, and she's kind of trying to be an influencer over there. So she comes back and teach me that this is how you play, this is what Roadblocks is all about, this is how you play this Minecraft and all, right? So, so I'm learning a lot of things in the technology, and I'm understanding, okay, how Snapchat works and what all things are there. So that is what I call reverse mentoring. So I'm expecting a lot coming from you in today's
that's
episode.
Very gracious of you to say. But okay, nevertheless.
So, you know, Ashwin, so you done your BTech, and then you been into management, and then you started with the entrepreneurship journey. And I think you have, in between, you have some small time for the jobs as well, which you did, but you chose entrepreneurship over there. So was this journey planned, or it happened just you went with the flow? So tell me about more.
No, not at all. In fact, it was not at all planned. And I say this very often to my colleagues, to my co-workers, even to my friends who know me, like, who are very dear to me, that I am an engineer by chance and a businessman or an entrepreneur, whatever you may call it, by fate. And what I actually mean by this is that, because like when I got done with my 12th grade, back then it's been like close to 7-8 years approximately, and at that point of time the mindset was that, okay, since you have been a science student typically, so the only two options left are probably engineering or probably medicine. Those were the only two options left. So I was very clear in my mind that medicine is definitely not my cup of tea, and I'm not the person who could slog 16-18 hours for the sake of studying. Probably for working, maybe yes, if there is an incentive attached to it, or should I say an immediate incentive attached to it. But definitely, I mean, I was very clear back then. So that probably catapulted, or probably I got thrown into engineering, if I can say so. So yes, I mean, that is pretty much what is the meaning of engineering by chance. Lack of options around me, and at the same time, I think my father also back then started this whole company, which was centered around tech, innovation, pretty much like it was a tech company. So I thought maybe this would be an appropriate thing to do, that okay, because someday, if not maybe in the near future, I may have to join the company in whichever way or form. So from a futuristic perspective, it made sense back then. So
Okay.
that was about engineering, and because the business part also had to come in at some point of time, so that is when I decided, okay, I'm done with my engineering, let's do some business administration course or something like that. And I was lucky enough to get a seat in my very college itself. So that is how MBA happened. And then like a lot of young professionals who were starting out their careers back then, it was, I mean, it was the gray, or it was the dull time of COVID back then. I mean, things were very unclear. After every 3-4 months, there were lockdowns happening, there were quarantines happening, and we used to hear all these very sad news that, okay, these many deaths have taken place in this particular part of the country. And unfortunately, I lost a few of my loved ones as well during COVID. So that was not a very good time for me to probably make these decisions from a professional standpoint, I would say, primarily. So I mean, that is when I started to introspect that, okay, and like I was seeing a lot of my friends who were saying that, okay, no, we are moving for our jobs outside the city, tu bhi aaja, let's do something together. And and like my father's company back then was probably at the cusp of growing. It wasn't really an established name back then as it is now, but it was probably looking at it. So I was, again, as I told you, that I was like on very tight ropes. I didn't know what to do, what to do, what not to do. It was like full confusion. But then I thought that no, I need to pick a side. And I initially thought that I will do a job for some time, maybe gain some industry experience, and then I will probably go back to my business. But I mean, I come from a traditional Marwadi Baniya family, and like it or not, the mindset is, I mean, they do not really appreciate you doing the job unless and until there is no other option left, probably.
Fair enough, and I think
And that is what probably brought me to my father's
thanks for being truthful and talking your heart out in front of the camera. And I think my audience must be loving and looking forward that, okay, what more we can get out of you. But you said that back 7 years. Today also, people think, okay, engineering or medicine, these are the only two options. Still, you think these are the only two options?
Not at all. I think so. The generation gap, right? We often speak about everyone from, like, be it a 60-year-old man to a 20-year-old boy. I think everyone speaks about this phrase, which is generation gap. I think the generation gap has shortened with time. Previously, 20-25 years was the period wherein one would say that, okay, the generation gap has kicked in. Nowadays, it's just 5-7 years, I feel, because exactly. 5 years ago, I was a totally different guy in every aspect, as a matter of fact. And today, my mindset, my thought process, the way how I conduct myself, everything. I mean, I can't even relate to the guy I was back then 5-6 years. In fact, I have a younger sister who's 7 years younger to me. I can't relate to her, to be very honest. Okay. She seems from a different generation altogether. So I feel that the generation gap has shortened very much.
Okay, then you can actually vouch out for that example which I gave for my daughter with the reverse engineering, which I am doing.
All the best to you then, catching up with
Fair
your
enough. And you said engineering, then business, and you joined the business for your father. Like maybe I'd like to know that how the people in the organization perceived you, because when you see that, okay, your father has set a benchmark, and then you need to be and do a best or better version of you need to be there. Strategically, you need to be there, and then you may be having elder people to you working for you, right? So how was the experience, and do you think the degree which you did in MBA was actually really helpful, or on the ground that was just a paperwork which you just finished, or it was in vague?
Oh my God, you've touched upon a really relevant point, and I've got so much to say on this.
Yes.
But I'll try to keep it as crisp as possible so that only the relevant things go out. So, I mean, coming back to the first point of the question, that how was my joining the company received by my fellow colleagues or my fellow co-workers who were older to me, who had obviously more experience. But so to be honest, they were also very skeptical, like I was, because I mean, apparently that is what it happens in India, right? That, okay, there is a founder who has started the company, and probably during those days social media had just blown up, and there was all this debate about nepotism and all that stuff. That I mean, specifically speaking about Bollywood, I think this was the debate back then. If you might be knowing, since you are from this content creation sector, you may be knowing this. You may be knowing this better than anyone. That okay, if probably Shah Rukh Khan has set a benchmark, why is Aryan Khan getting everything served on a silver platter? He should probably struggle himself. He should make a name for himself, and that is what was pretty much the mindset back then for all of my colleagues, I would say. But one thing I've realized that, I mean, if you bring, unless you bring your own individuality to the table, and unless you yourself believe, unless and until there is an amount of self-belief, I don't think people will also see that. So you have to bring something which is very distinctive and which is very much, how do I say it? It's very much a part of you, if I can say so. It's not something which is borrowed. It's not something which is derived. But if people see that, I think they start relating with you over a period of time, and I feel you need to give people some time to accommodate. I mean, let's say even if a guest walks into your home, you take your own time to probably get comfortable with him. You just don't try hugging him or whatever it is, maybe to probably show your affection. So you need to give people time so that a person seeps into their brain, I would say, if I can say so. And obviously after that, once you've managed to pass that barrier, then I think they start seeing the genuinity in you, if I can say so.
No, why I'm talking about this is because if you have seen the previous episode which I did with your father, right? We were talking about entrepreneurship in India, and when the young people are coming in, and most of the time they are hiring the elder people or the full established people. So that is where I'm saying, because you have already been in this journey for last 4 to 5 years, and you have overcome those challenges. What was the biggest challenge you face in that particular direction, and what helped you to overcome that?
Well, I would say initially the biggest challenge that I faced was confusion. That is definitely there.
Okay.
And second, I would say the lack of direct guidance, if I can say so, because I was pretty much by myself. I mean, since you've mentioned about the podcast with my father, so he mentioned about 2 verticals, right, which was services and products. So, I mean, I being someone who had to work, I had this additional responsibility of also operating this company like a business. So one is obviously the delivery part of things, which I think my father spoke extensively about, and one is the business part of things. So for me, I had to probably look at the best of both worlds. That okay, I need to learn, and I need to grasp as much knowledge I can, and at the same time, I need to make this financially viable with time, so that it also becomes commercialized. It also becomes a business in simple terms. Okay. So this was the biggest challenge for me as to how to probably, how can I say, transform into a business model that can be relevant, because the field of tech is so dynamic that I can tell you from personal experience, the skills or probably the piece of information that I gained probably 15 days ago, unfortunately, it's not relevant today. It's a time span as short as 15 days can actually do a very big change in the field of tech. So my biggest challenge and my biggest fear also at the same time was probably to learn, and at the same time how to make this relevant from a business standpoint, so that it is futuristic. And it obviously, as my father spoke about, that customer is equivalent to a god. So to probably convince the customer as well, I think that was one challenge which I faced in my initial days. But I can say I've gone past that.
Fair enough, and I will like to go back to my previous question and that piece which we missed, and that where you said that for the whole journey of 4 to 5 years, where you feel that the business administration course which you did was actually relevant, or it was the whole different ball game when you were actually in the business? Because this is specifically why I want you to answer it for my young audience who feel like to be an entrepreneur, I need to do MBA. So I just want to know that you advocate that or not.
No, actually, to be honest, being an entrepreneur, you don't even need to study, if we go by that definition. Forget about doing an MBA or an engineer. Because if you say, for example, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, he is a college dropout for all we know. The biggest of the entrepreneurs of this country have not gained formal education, so as to speak, due to the lack of resources, or maybe due to a lack of interest. Forget about the biggest entrepreneurs. If I were to give an example in today's setting, for example, Nikhil Kamath, who is one of the co-founders of Zerodha,
Yeah.
he does not have a degree, so as to speak, but he's running a multi-million-dollar business. So I feel for being an entrepreneur is something that needs to really come from the within. I feel no degree or no form of education can probably inculcate that, because entrepreneurship, I think, is a spirit. It's something that needs to come from within. If you don't feel it, you don't feel it. It's as
Fair
simple
enough.
as that.
I think we are touching more on the business side of it. Let's go bit tech, and let me
Sure.
talk to you that how cybersecurity and risk happened to you, and how you have taken that up.
Right. So, I mean, as I told you that I am a businessman or an entrepreneur by fate. So I didn't plan on taking this up, but in continuation with what my father said, that during COVID, things were very much unclear, and from a business standpoint also, we didn't know as to what to do, what not to do, where the world was heading. Everything was unclear. So we had a team, we had a ready, steady team that was very much underutilized back then. So we decided to probably take all those resources or utilize all that talent to develop something that could address some of the concerns in the market from a cybersecurity standpoint. Because in my limited experience, I feel that for all the problems or for all the pain areas as far as cybersecurity as a domain is concerned, in the long term, I feel some of the products would be more suited to address these concerns as compared to services. And that is where the idea was probably to develop some of our own products around cybersecurity, around compliance that you mentioned, so that we can probably we can address the concerns of our customers in a way better and in a way cost-effective manner, if I can say so. So that is why, I mean, that is how I got catapulted into this whole cyber and tech and compliance. And in fact, within Skillmine, we have developed some of our own solutions to cater to some of the pain areas around probably like evidence collection. Basically, so this is where I think automation comes into.
Before we go to let's
Sure.
take the one thing. Now you said pain areas. So let's go one by one. That what all pain areas you identified back then, and I think you have 2 to 3 solutions, right? Which you are
Right.
working on right now. So let's go one pain area and the solution which you have, and then let's go one by one.
Okay, so the very first technology product that we developed was it's called Complement. It's basically a combination of compliance and management, and that is how we came up with this name, Complement.
Nice.
Right. I mean, all credit to my creative team. They come up with some funny names, so it's all it's okay. Initially, I was very skeptical of using this name, but okay, with time, it's become.
But it
quite
sounds
our own.
good actually. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So yes, so that is the very first product that we developed, because the major chunk of our clientele list is from the BFSI and BFC fintech sector. So using all that experience and seeing all the pain areas. So by pain areas, what I mean is day-to-day compliance. First of all, this is increasingly becoming a very arduous task, if I can say, for all the senior leadership within the organization, be it the CTOs, be it the CISOs, I mean, be it even the business heads, as a matter of fact. This is becoming, because the government by the day is increasing the vigilance on various compliance like standards, I would say. For example, last year, there was this DPDP Act, which was passed in the parliament, which was the Digital Personal Data Privacy Act. I mean, so people are becoming more aware of cybersecurity, as identity theft is on the upsurge. People are becoming more, people at a point of time, I believe there wasn't much awareness back then. But with the advent of technology, with the advent of information being available just on just on my disposal, I think people are becoming more aware, and that is why this is probably and everyone. I feel there is an environment of doing things the right way right now in our country. No, I mean, very few people would want to find shortcuts, because people have realized that no, slow and steady wins the race. Probably this is what I feel. So from a compliance perspective, this is becoming, first of all, which I mentioned, is becoming a very arduous task. Secondly, evidence collection, all the data that is generated, and in India being officially the most populous country right now, we generate tremendous amounts of data. be it with respect to mobile, PC, internal, external, everything. Data management is becoming an equally challenging task for everyone. And with management, obviously, comes the aspect of, the three pillars of cybersecurity, which is CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. All these things come into the picture. So we are trying to address these concerns from an organizational standpoint through one of our solutions, Compline.
Okay.
This is what I would say. Secondly, in the sphere of, as I mentioned, that identity theft and cyber attacks and cyber crimes are on the upsurge worldwide, not just in India. So one of our solutions around that is, we like to call it Auth. The full form is, the full name is a Skillmine Authenticator.
Okay.
It's basically an identity and access management solutions. It basically does away with the headache of managing multiple login credentials. So as an organization, you may have multiple apps, multiple business applications that you may be using, be it with respect to finance, be it with respect to sales, HR, software, delivery, whatever. Multiple departments may be using multiple applications. To manage all the users and to manage all their roles, permissions is becoming, again, it becomes a very challenging task. You can do it manually, definitely, but again, there is a certain amount of risk involved there as well. So to mitigate all those risks and to streamline all these activities, I would say, that is where we come in with one of our solutions, Auth, which I mentioned.
Okay.
Which does this in a single sign-on and a multi-factor authentication mechanism. And on top of that, it also facilitates authorization to ensure that only the right people have the access to the right amount of applications, so that the information does not fall into the wrong hands by mistake. That is the whole idea. And the third solution that we have is, probably, since I was speaking at length about data. So the third solution is Data V. We like to call it Data V. It's basically an acronym for data visualization. Basically, we collect data in organizations, and probably smaller organizations, when they generate huge amounts of data. And since we are from a services economy, now we are moving towards a manufacturing economy. Everywhere, in all the events that you go, people are probably trying to instill this mindset that, no, please get into manufacturing. This is the future. This is the future. So in that particular sphere, I would say, with a lot of data comes, you're just probably bombarded with data, raw data. You don't know what to do. And that is where our third solution comes into the picture, wherein we collect, we probably take the meaning of that raw data and we give it to the stakeholders so that they can probably take decisions accordingly. Because I believe that these are all tasks or activities that a business owner should not be focusing upon. Let's say if you are a sugar manufacturing unit or a textile business owner or whatever is your business which is non-tech, I think as a business owner, you should be focusing on your main tasks and not these administrative tasks. And that is what we are trying, at least, to address. And that is the value, I would say, we bring to the table through our solutions.
Fair enough. And with that, you will be advocating more automation at the workplace? Or do you think, specifically, if I talk about the tools, let's go one by one, the risk and compliance, right?
Sure.
You think that manual efforts are still needed over there, or it's all automated? At what stage your tool is, or more?
Well, that is a very interesting question, I would say. I'd like to answer it differently. So I think a lot of people have a very misguided definition of automation. So the idea of automation is to reduce the amount of manual work, I would say. It's not to get away with humans. It's not to get rid of humans. It's basically, if let's say if a task is getting done in 10 steps, probably what automation could do is it could get it done in 5 or 6 steps in a more efficient manner. That is the whole idea of automation. And automation is something that we ourselves as humans have brought upon. So it's come from us. So, to say that, okay, no, I hear some of these sentences being like, especially on social media, some of these phrases just being thrown away, that AI will eat all our jobs.
That's what I'm afraid of. Next host will be AI.
Right. So definitely, we must welcome it, because it's everybody also talks about Industry 4.0 without actually knowing the meaning of Industry 4.0. It's just become a buzzword or a catchphrase just to flaunt it like it's a new iPhone, I feel. So it's becoming a buzzword, unfortunately, without people realizing the meaning, as I said. But I personally don't feel that automation can do everything what we want to do. There has to be a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. We need to probably take the best of both worlds, because I mean, if I were to give you a very real life example, we have automatic check-in counters at the airport, right? Since you travel a lot, you may see it abroad, but there is always a human being standing next to the automatic counter. Why is it so? If they were so efficient, what was the need of that human being? It's because we need, for systems and for the desired objectives to be met, we need both humans and technology. Only humans and only technology will not make the cut. And automation itself, a lot of people don't realize this, but automation itself has a lot of risks. There is a certain cost involved. There is a humongous risk involved if things go wrong, and especially in sensitive situations. You can't trust automation. I mean, you can't depend a lot on automation.
Yeah, exactly. When we talk about AI, the compliance will not, go in that direction, because having standards or for AI, the compliance and AI monitoring AI, how it's going to happen, that's really a tough challenge. So there will be a lot of things, or AI need to go a long way. But are you using these buzzwords when you are selling?
Well, not really.
No,
I do not want.
You don't say that your data visualization have AI or machine learning or something.
I'm very realistic in my vision and in my ideas, and that is how I would like. I mean, I do not want to overcommit. I'd rather undercommit and overdeliver. That is what I would say. I would not like to overcommit and underdeliver. That's just not been my style, to be honest.
Okay, and then how you call Skillmine different from the other product providers in the risk compliance or IDEM space?
Okay, interesting question once again. So, I mean, Skillmine as an organization is very customer centric, I would say. I know this again is sounds very gimmicky, that customer centric तो हर company है, तो हर company बोलती है, आप ऐसा लग क्या कर रहे हैं? But I think some of the customers that have stuck with us, I mean, they can vouch for it, that ever since the inception of the company, they don't want to leave Skillmine. I mean, we have really positioned ourselves as a trusted IT partner over the years, because we actually add value, I believe. We add value to whatever we have to offer, bundled with competitive pricing. What I feel is that if you're offering value to the customers, and if you're getting the job done in the customer's manner, or if I can say if what the customer wants you to achieve, if you're achieving it, the customer is more than happy to pay a premium. I don't see, I mean, I hear all these terms like it's a price sensitive market, all that stuff. But like a lot of people, for example, an iPhone costs more than $1 lakh. The same job can be done through a Vivo phone or a mobile lava phone, whatever it is, or a Micromax phone at 1/10 the cost. But people are still buying iPhones. So if you're offering that kind of a service to the customer, I don't think the customer actually has a problem paying as such. So I believe that is where Skillmine is different, is that we add value and we really understand the customer's pulse. I don't think a lot of companies are willing to go down that way. They probably think that, okay, how can we, I mean, is this a large enough ticket size for me or my company to grow? For us, the customer is a customer and we treat him like a customer, more so a god, if I can say so.
Fair enough. Okay, amazing. So that was about Skillmine, but let's talk about Ashwin as an entrepreneur. How you see, or what are your next actions for next 2 years? Because if I talk about 5 years, it's gonna long. So how, as an entrepreneur, you see that what are the challenges, or in India specifically, you foresee in next 2 years, and which you think you can overcome, and maybe what are the next steps as an entrepreneur you are looking forward for?
Well, I would say the next set of challenges I see, and not just for me as an organization, but for everyone, is getting the right people for the job. I would say that is very, very important, because they will ultimately be the revenue drivers or the business drivers. So getting the right talent at the right place at the right time, that is what I would say. That is the first challenge I feel in the near future, since you mentioned about.
So do you think the last episode of your father asking people to be an entrepreneur gonna put challenge for you to get the people to work for you?
Not really. I don't think so.
Just on the lighter side, I added that. But okay.
No, not at all. I think As I told you, entrepreneurship is something that comes from within. Because I mean, since you have touched upon that point, like Bangalore, like the tech hub, as we all know, it is famous for like it's virtually the next startup capital of India. And fun fact, as per a data by some of the magazines, I don't remember the name, I'm sorry, but more than 90% of the startups fail, which were started in India. Why is that so? Because they are starting, but as you mentioned, consistency, that is what is needed in the long run.
Yeah.
If the mindset is to just probably artificially inflate the valuation and just get the money from VCs and just take an exit, then you probably are not in the business to probably serve your customer. You're just in the business to make money.
Fair enough, and it was really interesting talking to you, Ashwin. So maybe the last segment which I have for you,
Absolutely.
Because whatever the 4 and 5 years of experience, the young experience you have as an entrepreneurship, for the people who are just maybe at the verge of starting the entrepreneurship or looking forward for that direction, maybe they are in college, or maybe they are like me, having 15 or 18 years of experience and want to start because if I say with the age of entrepreneurship, you are 3 years elder than me. Okay.
Oh, is it?
So I have 2 years of experience in entrepreneurship. What kind of advice you have for those people who are just wanted or about to begin their entrepreneur journey? So whatever you have learned in last 4 years, my audience is all yours.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I don't think I can actually give an advice or so, but I can just share my experiences, what I have learned over the years. So, first of all, I believe that there has to be, you have to believe in yourself at the end of the day. I know these sentences you hear from athletes, from renowned businessmen, but trust me, self-belief is probably going to take you places. This is also like, nowadays there is all this chatter about manifestation, as we all know it. And this has been written in our scriptures for the longest time. And if you read the Bhagavad Gita, it's written, it's mentioned very clearly.
Oh, you are follower of Bhagavad Gita. You have read that?
Well, yes, I am a practicing Hindu, so definitely. So it's written very clearly out there that a man is made by his beliefs. As he believes, so he becomes. So if you don't believe in yourself, probably then I don't think nothing's going to cut it. So first of all, self-belief. You need to believe in yourself. Secondly, there will always be confusion, regardless of your age, gender, regardless of whichever position you are in. But it's very okay. It's very okay to be confused. It's absolutely normal, because if you're not confused, then how will you seek clarity? Imagine a person who is very much clear in their mindset. Then you have probably entered into a Zen space kind of a zone, and probably you should just go to the Himalayas and do some practice a life filled with austerity. That is what I feel. So it's all right to be confused, because that is when you start seeking answers. That is when you learn along the way, and that is how I think you grow as an individual, not just as an entrepreneur, I feel. So it's pretty much, and do not get caught into this activism kind of a mindset, if I can say so. I see a lot of my peers getting caught in that. So like, I don't really understand. There is a debate of a 4-day work week and a 3-day work week. People actually give that debate.
Yeah.
So I feel that if you really value your work, then you should be ready to work at any time of the day, any time of the year.
Entrepreneurship is about 24/7.
Absolutely.
I realized when I quit.
Right. So there has to be self-belief, confidence, and you need to always speak the truth to yourself. Along the way, you will have people who are trying to act as sycophants, who are probably going to mislead you. But like, just before you shut off the button when you sleep, please take out 10 minutes and please speak the truth for yourself. Truth to yourself. Truth to yourself. That okay, maybe these people have given me 5 pieces of information. They have told me 5 things about myself, but how much true is it, or how much false is it? So that statistics and all that crunching has to be done by you. I think it's just more or less, there is no set formula. I would be very wrong if I can say that okay, there is a formula, because there is no formula. Let's just say that.
Fair enough, and I'll take it. And as Ashwin has mentioned, let's normalize to be confused, right? So with that, I would like to say sign off to the audience, and thank you, Ashwin, for being
Thank
on
you
the
so much,
show.
Gaurav.
Yeah, so it was really great talking to you. And as a last ritual, I have something for you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was really insightful. I have learned a lot from you, and
Thank you so
I was
much,
being a
Gaurav.
bit confused, but now I think it's okay to be confused. So, guys, I will see you next Thursday. Till then, be safe. Take care. Bye bye.